Caltrop is an area denial weapon designed to stop the enemy. The Caltrop is a sturdy, simple, yet effective weapon no matter its position. Its purpose was originally designed to stop elephant and donkey attacks. It graduated to stopping tanks. And now, the Caltrop is your defense against propaganda, polished lies, and manufactured outrage. It's free from counterfeit credibility and synthetic truth. However, inside the walls of the Caltrop, you're going to be forced to think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mike Calderese is the Caltrop.
Good evening and welcome to the Caltrop. I am your host, Mike Calderese. Welcome on this Monday. Man, did we have a big weekend. A lot to talk about tonight. And like I said, welcome. We are the Caltrop. We are the ones that give you the straight news. Both sides. I try to decipher everything for you and tell you what it is. You have, every single day when you do this, day after day out, it gets mind-numbing. It's like you're watching two different sides of the story, and you guys that watch me all the time, you hear me say this a lot. It's just you're dealing with two totally different sides, which is the truth. When you have one side saying one completely different thing and the other side saying completely other, and the way they report, one side's completely positive, the other side's completely not. It's really disgusting. So we try to decipher all that stuff for you. So welcome. But listen. We have an incredible show tonight. Finger my like button and share this if you can. I appreciate it. We're going to get into a little bit of parenting, man. A big story. To me, it's one of the biggest things that are out there because I think it's one of our biggest problems as parents. Gloucester Township, New Jersey just passed some law where they're going to start holding parents accountable for their children's actions. And we're seeing this all up and down the shore. You're seeing this with groups and gangs running in and the whole 9 yards and stealing things. These are groups of kids. We're going to get into parenting. We obviously have Trump with Putin. We're going to touch on that a little bit just because I want to show the contrast. It's very interesting how Putin and Trump address each other. And I guess how Putin demands to be seen next to Trump. And the way Zelenskyy does. Zelenskyy looks like the little brother, looks like the little nephew, stepchild, redheaded stepkid. That's like, all right, come on, we'll let you pal around. And the other guy, Putin, he looks like the real leader, and he's treated like it. You're going to see that. We're going to kind of compare and contrast a little bit, talk about that a little bit. We have a lot. The Redskins, Minnesota cheerleader, all of that. But let's start with the Mike's Right. All right, let's talk about parenting, or better yet, lack of it. Should parents be held liable for their kids' actions? Now, here's my stance. Fuck yeah, they should. Parents should 1,000% be held accountable for their kids' actions, provided that it's clear negligence on their part. And let's not act like negligence is hard to spot. For some reason, I can't say that word today. But we've all seen it. We used to make fun of, remember the helicopter parents? Always hovering, watching little Johnny's every move, making sure he wore his helmet to bed, just in case he rolled off the pillow. Now we don't have helicopter parents. No. For whatever reason, we've evolved. We now have YouTube parents, Instagram parents, TikTok parents. Look, little Susie's going viral. She can't spell her name yet, but damn, she's got 1 million views on a dance trend. Before that, we had TV parents. Stick the kid in front of the TV screen, let Nickelodeon raise them. Remember those guys? Call it a day. Hey, at least the kids shut the fuck up, right? Great parenting. Bravo. You raise this generation's, you raise this generation who is raising the next generation of YouTube kids. And what's the result? We've got kids who live trend to trend in a desperate search for likes, validation, acceptance because they're not getting it at home, Or worse, they're getting way too much of it. Mommy does every little thing for them, and daddy's not around. And now their only purpose in life is scrolling and posting and getting likes, exterior validation. And who pays the price? Not them. Well, they do ultimately, but it's really us and the towns and the citizens and the cops. In my area, Seaside, New Jersey, every summer it's been the same story for the last couple of years. Packs of unparented kids, drunk out of their minds, high as hell, causing absolute chaos. And here's the best part about it. Half the time, mommy and daddy are the ones who brought them the weed and the booze. Because nothing says I love my child like handing them a handle of vodka and a bag of gummies. That's Parenting 2025 edition. For the record, I gave my son a handle of alcohol this weekend. It wasn't vodka, it was tequila. But he's a senior in college and he's turning 21. But these groups are so big, cops can't even break them up without force. And then they use force and people scream, oh, why are the police being so rough on the kids? They're just children. I'll tell you why. Because you unleashed your feral little offspring on society and now everyone else has to deal with it. So here's the uncomfortable question. If parents won't discipline their kids, should the discipline fall on the parents? Think about it. You need a license license and insurance for everything. To drive, to own a dog, to operate a boat. Hell, even to fish, you need a license. But to reproduce? Nah, anybody could do that, even the crackheads. No training, no license, no consequences. You could even kill the kid in the womb if you don't feel like raising it. But if you do pop one out, no tests required, no classes, just, hey, good luck, society. Here's another future problem for you to deal with. Maybe we need classes for new parents. Maybe we need license requirements for prospective parents. Radical? Maybe. You could say sure. But so is living in a society where your unraised kids destroy everything they touch. And here's where it really blows me away. You want to take away my guns. You want me to regulate and restrict me. Make me prove I can responsibly handle a firearm. To protect myself from the government, criminals, and your psycho offspring. But you don't want to make parents prove that they can handle raising a human being responsibly. Sorry, I'm not buying it. And if I'm regulated, then so are you, sweetie. If you can't raise a decent kid, then sorry. You get fixed like a stray cat. Yeah, I said it. Reproduction is the single most important thing that humans do. And for every scumbag raised, you're not just raising one. You're raising a whole new generation of scumbags. It starts multiplying. Sooner or later, the scumbags are going to outnumber the non-scumbags. So maybe it's time to raise your kids or face consequences. And I'll take this a step further. I'd love to see this in schools. Oh, your kid hasn't been showing up for classes, failing everything, acting like a menace? Guess what, mom and dad? You've now got homework. Maybe if parents were more worried about their kids instead of their own selfish nonsense, we wouldn't have to legislate common sense. But like everything else in this world, a few bad apples ruin it for everyone. And when it comes to parenting, those bad apples spoil the whole barrel. And society is the one stuck cleaning up the mess. So raise your kids, or we'll raise the fines. I have no problem with it. I absolutely love it. That's the Mike's right. Hope you listen. All right, let's get to the chat. Let's see you guys. Tell me where I'm wrong. Do me a favor. Tell me where I'm wrong in the chat. Yankee 68, J Cal, the Jersey Abe. Tell me where I'm wrong, guys. I want to know. I want to know your thoughts on parenting. We have obviously Jersey Abe is a parent. J Cal is a parent. Yankee 68. I imagine you're a parent. I'm not sure if you are or not. Put it in the chat. You tell me what you think about today's kids, because we have this Gloucester Township, and let me play the video that I was talking about. This is what I think. This type of stuff is absolutely insane. Ready? Because the fact that we have to have news conferences and press conferences about, hey, we're going to start holding you accountable for your kids. Now, I said it in big events. I thought it's appropriate where if you left your kid out or bought your kid a gun when he was crazy as fuck and you're calling the cops on him all the time, but you still went out and bought him a gun and he uses that to shoot a school with, I think you should 100% face charges. So as many charges, you're just responsible as they are, if not even more responsible. So that's where I'm at. But the fact that we had to do this is disgusting. Listen to this guy.
We saw just this past weekend in West Hampton, unruly juveniles walking through the streets and standing on cars with no respect for authority or others. There are towns throughout New Jersey that are also postponing their events because of experiencing the same things that I had just spoke about. This is not unique to Gloucester Township, but rather is symptomatic of a larger societal juvenile crisis. Now, I'll tell you, I don't have all the answers, but one possible answer is to hold parents accountable for their children. I saw firsthand the actions last year of these unparented juveniles. Now, I will tell you this. When my children were growing up, I didn't have a cell phone to keep track of them. But I knew where they were. We saw just this.
Yeah, I just interviewed a mayor candidate in my town, Maddo and Iannarone, right? And we were talking about my neighborhood in my area back in the Brick, New Jersey. We had something called the beach bus. The beach bus was freaking awesome. It picked you up. In my case, it picked me up right in front of the best pizza place on the planet, Mike's Pizza. Picked me up at Mike's Pizza. I think it was like 8:30 in the morning. It picked you up. And then it brought you back 2:30, 3 o'clock. I can't remember, maybe 3:30. The bus was back to pick you up. If you didn't make the bus and left without you, you were on your own. And guess what? We didn't have cell phones or any of that stuff. I don't even think beepers were out back then. We had to find a payphone, hope we had change, and we had to dial some payphone or find some adult, knock on doors or whatever it was. We didn't have cell phones. My parents didn't keep track of me every single place that I went. I was 14 years old riding 20, 30 minutes down the road on my bike to go find jobs at Point Pleasant Boardwalk. My parents were working, but it was safe enough, and everybody, they knew exactly where I was at without knowing at the exact same time. But for whatever reason, we never got together and roaming bike gangs stealing shit. Now, we did stupid things on those bikes, yes, but not compared to the things that we've seen today. And I do credit that to social media. We say all the time, everybody I know says all the time, thank God I didn't grow up with these cell phones in my face all the time. We have no idea the type of stress these kids are under just because this thing is in their face every single day, nonstop. Can you imagine having a camera no matter what you were doing in the woods? All the stupid shit we got into. Can you imagine if there was a camera there? That would be the most. If anybody even brought out a camera, we'd be shooting them. Like, what are you doing? You're not recording this shit. Now all of a sudden, every little detail of their lives is recorded nonstop. We have Yankee 68 says we have to go after parents because our laws are weak when it comes to juveniles. Completely agree. PT Pod, what's up, my man Mike? You see him here on Fridays. Raise your damn kids. And we literally teach our kids with anything makes you feel uncomfortable, it's okay to react violently and crazily. Yes, 100%. We don't teach them how to. This is the thing you learn by playing sports. And I think there's a big correlation. People talk about religion. Kids are losing religion. I think you're a part of something. You're a part of a team. And that's kind of like what religion is. It's like a team concept. But sports really teaches you, especially baseball, to look at what you're doing wrong. Face the things you have to get done wrong. Face yourself, make the changes, and not react violently. Learn from your mistakes. Learn how to be criticized or critiqued. Learn how to be coachable. We start talking about people. We're not teaching our kids to be coachable, and I say that, and I don't know. My son was coachable for everybody, not me. Right. So he wanted to fight me, but that's everybody's kids when it comes to sports. But we have to raise these kids to be coachable, to take advice, to take direction, and take leadership, or to take the leadership role when need be. But yes, you're right. They teach them to act violently, and you know why? I'll tell you why. This is a really simple thing. Certain communities, especially certain communities with higher concentrations of populations of single mothers. And single mothers, this is nothing against you, but this is just the truth. Single mothers raise emotional boys. Because I'm sorry, moms, you have no idea how a man needs to act or what a man is actually getting in society. Women have a very warped sense of who a man is based on their emotions. And that's not a way to raise a kid. And if you raise an emotional boy, they become unstable, dangerous men. Period. End of story. Yankee 68 says, collect calls, Mike. We had no money. Yes, that's right. Yes. Oh, man, I want to make a collect call to, who is this? Say your name at the beep. This is Mike. Where you make up some stupid-ass name. That was great. I love it. PT Pod says, coachable. Yes. Jay Calda says, the problem is parents are clueless today. They think they should be their children's friend instead of parent. You have to have discipline, rules, and love. Jay Cal, I got to be honest with you. You kind of sound like Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer. You have to have rules, discipline, and affection. And listen, it does work on dogs. My dogs are wonderful. If you come to my house, they are absolutely wonderful. But I completely agree with you. You have to have rules, you have to have discipline, and you have to have affection afterwards. And Jay Cal, the one more comment says, religion equals morals. We need to teach respect of authority. I do, man. I think we have to teach respect for proper authority. How about that? Because there's too much bullshit authority. There's too many cops that, I'm not trying to attack cops here. It seems like I've been doing that lately, but there's too many cops that were picked on in school. And now all of a sudden they get their authority and they're running wild. There's too many unstable women that become principals or something and they're running wild. Teachers that, certain, I think, it used to be one of those things where you gave respect. And if they didn't give respect back, you took your respect away. And that's kind of where I guess one more thing, right? Also question, how do we feel about having 50% of our kids born to single parent homes? How do we think that affects this? So PT Pod, once again, I think it affects it in many different ways. Number one, it's just statistics. The majority of impoverished homes are single parent homes. That's just statistics. When you have a man and woman, and in this day and age, you both have to work. So when you have two people that are contributing, you tend to live out of poverty. Okay. Then when you have two people contributing in the household, you have the yin and the yang. You have dad, you have mom. You have dad gets the big piece of chicken, and he's also the one that will tear your ass up when you get home. That's the way it used to be. You better hope I don't tell your father about this. We're some of the scariest shit you can hear as a kid. How many kids are actually afraid to hear that? Because back in the day, father came in, take the belt off, smack you in the ass. Certain fathers, you go to a Southern father or a Southern grandma, especially grandpa, they'd make you go pick out the switch and they'd beat your ass with a switch. But there's no fear of the father anymore. So how are you going to even have any type of respect for authority when you were never growing up respecting authority? How do you respect a mom? And once again, no offense, moms, but my son was bigger than my mom or than my wife at like 9 years old. And my wife is freakishly strong, so she could still kind of tackle him. But by 11 years old, he was overpowering her. Why is he really going to listen to her if he could completely overpower her? He's not. There's no respect for the authority there besides the love and affection that they had for each other, and he's a good kid. But if he was a little asshole, and you raised him to be an asshole, you think he's going to have any respect for that authority in the household? So now if he has no respect for authority in the household, how's he ever going to have respect in society? I don't know. Kids need a mother and a father. I completely agree with it. Listen, and I have friends that are lesbians, right? And I think they surrounded, especially one of their kids, I know that, with enough like male role models that he grew up an incredible kid, and they're awesome parents. They're very good friends of ours. So I'm not saying this stuff 100% can't be done. It definitely can. I mean, single mothers can obviously be successful. There's plenty of very well-balanced people out there raised from single mothers. So we have that going for us as well. But the problem, it all stems back, in my opinion, to letting women marry government. And when we let women start marrying government, they stop marrying people, and then divorce became the next trend. Now, next thing you know, everyone's getting divorced. Nobody thinks about the actions. I say this about my planning board in local government all the time. And even no matter what, you put it in government, this is what they don't do. They don't have the foresight to see what their mistakes are going to be before they happen. It's like the chess moves. You want to try to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 moves ahead of your next move. And if you're not thinking about that, what could possibly happen? If I do this, what could happen? What are the positives? What are the negatives? And if you don't weigh those properly, you could be in a really, really, really shitty situation. Let's get to in-depth breakdowns.
In-depth breakdowns.
All right, let's move right along here. Let's get to this. So big moves here, man. You know what? One thing I'm going to tell you right now, I do criticize Trump. You've all heard me. I rip on him. And when he does some things wrong, I'm going to get on him. The things he does right, it just seems like the biggest things he does right and the littlest things he overlooks are the ones that mess up. You know, it's like the Epstein thing. I think he overlooked that and he completely blown up in his face. And, you know, they're still talking about it. It's like nonstop. They're still talking about Epstein. Oh, we're going to release Epstein pretty soon. Or where was it here? I have I thought I had a frame on this, but I guess I know it's tough to figure out here. But no, they're going to be releasing more Epstein files a little bit. So he gets those things wrong that I don't think he pays attention to. And I don't know why they didn't pay attention to Epstein, but that you've heard me go too long on that. But the big things I think he's been nailing, the tariffs, every liberal outlet is now really eating their words because it didn't have the result, the fear mongering that they thought it was going to have. And then all of a sudden you're watching the EU and you're watching trade deals start happening and start trickling down. And by the way, we're taking in a whole hell of a lot more money. And everyone said, oh, it's a tax. I still love how people only want taxes for American businesses. The shit blows my mind. But when you start off a meeting with President Putin gets off the plane, they give him the red carpet treatment, they shake hands, they're all smiling, smacking each other on the ass, doing nipple twists, Indian burns, and all that shit. Then all of a sudden they start walking over, and this is what you see. Hey, guess what? We could fuck you up right now. It's like we could touch you whenever. Here, a little bit of show of strength as you're walking into that meeting in Alaska. Here, walk past some, they look like what, F-22s or whatever it was. Walk past some F-18s, F-22s, F-35s, and the most wonderful F-47. It's going to be the greatest plane ever made, to ever possibly be made again. Right? Let's walk past a couple of those guys. Let's fly a fucking B-2 bomber over Putin's head. That's some balls type. That's boss type stuff. That's how I want my president doing this. And the thing I think that's being lost, and I don't know if anybody is pointing out, but holy shit, we actually have a president. I'm going to keep pointing this out. Did you see this with Obama? When's the last time he met Putin? They didn't talk for 4 years. Putin gets into that. I have it. Let me see. You ready? So let's do this. This is Putin, and on trade, let's see, no war with Trump. This is Putin basically saying that I didn't talk to America for 4 years, and if this didn't happen, if Trump was in office, I would not be in Ukraine.
Mind you that in 2022, during the last contact with the previous administration, I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump is saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that. I think that overall, me and President Trump have built a very good, business-like and trustworthy contact. And I have every reason to believe that moving down this path, we can come, and the sooner the better, to the end of the conflict in Ukraine.
I want you to notice something. I played Putin first because for a reason. I have one more video on Putin. Notice something. They met in Alaska. It's not like he came to D.C. I don't think Putin wanted a song and dance sitting next to Trump in that Oval Office with all the meetings and all those reporters, Trump cracking jokes, ripping on him, pointing shit out, putting him in those positions that he's put everyone else in. I don't think Putin wanted that. So if you notice, look, did you see how far away they were? They're not standing close. They're standing pretty far away. And just the image of it, the image of being that far away, even though you were just shaking hands and all that stuff, but a B-2 bomber rolled over. Jay Calder said he loved to fly over. A. Calder is here late to the chat, says he doesn't love going after parents. It's overreach. I don't know the extent allowed, but you can't control everything. I love it. My family is the most supportive people on the planet. Love my family. Listen, they got a parent like us, buddy. You know, I can't control everything, but what are you going to do? But let's get back to Putin. They were standing pretty far away from each other, but it's cordial. If you notice what he said, he basically confirmed to everybody, and that Trump is the one that's going to be able to stop it possibly, and it would never have started if he was here. And of course, the left's going to run with that and say, "Oh, I told you they've been kissing each other's ass the entire time." But Putin said one other thing that was very interesting to me, and it was about trade. And I don't know if I've seen this anywhere else, but listening to this is the thing that really struck me. And when you listen to Putin, when I started listening to this stuff on Friday, I knew it was going to be a big, like kind of a nothing, just because the way he starts out on these like long-winded ass history lessons, like he's giving you something. You have to sit down and take notes, and you're gonna have a test after it. It's insane how this guy talks. It's so slow and ridiculous. But this was interesting right here on trade.
Incidentally, when the new administration came to power, bilateral trade started to grow. It's still very symbolic. Still, we have a growth of 20%. As I've said, we have a lot of dimensions for joint work. It is clear that the U.S. and Russian investment and business cooperation has tremendous potential. Russia and the U.S. can offer each other so much in trade, digital, high-tech, and in space exploration. We see that Arctic cooperation is also very possible. And our international context, for example, between the Far East of Russia and the West Coast of the U.S. Overall, it's very important for our countries to turn the page, to go back to cooperation. It is symbolic that not far away from here, at the border between Russia and the U.S., there is a so-called international date line. I think you can step over, literally, from yesterday into tomorrow. And I hope that we'll succeed in that. In political sphere.
Did you hear what he was just saying? I don't hear anybody reporting on this. What he just said is, listen, we have opened up trade between our two countries. We're up over 20%. That's what he said. We just opened up trade. We're up over 20%. And what I would like to do, and from what I understand, Putin's been asking about this for a really long time. He said he asked it with Clinton. He wanted to get into he wanted to start being a trading partner and doing that stuff. And that's what he says. Now, we all know, and Trump said it, sometimes Putin's full of shit. Do they really want to be trade partners with us, or do they not? I think it would be beneficial for both countries. But I don't know. To me, if we can make friends and stop making so many damn enemies, it seems like the one thing that our politicians do great is making enemies. Now, let's get to Zelenskyy. Anybody have anything? Let's see. Why are they so far apart? Why? So once again, who makes the backdrop? It's like they're marketing the whole thing. Yes, this is, once again, we're watching a show, Yankee. We're watching a show, and that's what I try looking at, right? Look at how they met each other. Now, we spoke about it on Friday. When Trump goes and reaches out your hand, when he goes to shake your hand, he grabs you and he yanks you in, and he got Putin with it. I'm surprised Putin wasn't on his heels, man, pulling back like an arm wrestler. They were just going to get into like an arm wrestling, shaking hands match in the middle of the fucking tarmac. And then Putin rips off his shirt and shows his bare Russian nipples. I think that would have been great. Now, they Putin, Biden out there talking, let's do some push-ups so you can do the most push-ups. I still think I'll bet on Putin for the most push-ups, but I digress. But they were far apart from each other. And I think that's an optic thing. Somebody had to stage it like that. Now, was it them? Was it Russia? Was it America? I mean, we obviously set all the stuff up. It was where was it? It was in Alaska. And Russia's such a big country. They're like everybody's neighbor. They're really neighbors to us with Alaska somehow. That's how huge Russia is. But now let's check out Zelenskyy finally wearing a little bit of a suit.
Ready, face? We love them. We love them.
Did you see him? Oh, hey, look at you. Hey, no tie, you fucking dirtbag still, bay. At least you're wearing a jacket and a nice button up and not the sweats. Now, full disclosure, I don't hate a guy for wearing sweats because I wear sweats every single day of my life. So they were in the middle of their I guess, press conference. Let's play a couple of them. They asked Trump about a ceasefire, and this was his thoughts.
You called severe consequences if a 30-day ceasefire or any type of ceasefire were not agreed to by Russia. Will there be severe consequences? Does that change because of
I
your
don't
meeting
think you
with
need a
President Putin?
ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. I like the concept. You know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
So once again, man, Trump, say what you want about Trump, but this guy has put on display time and time and time again, right in front of your face. This is something we did not see out of our last president whatsoever. He was not up there talking, and he was not up there showing you that he had a grasp of the things that are going on, and it's immense. And Trump seems to have a grasp this second time around. He definitely seems to have a grasp of everything besides Epstein. They came in with a real clear objective, and right now we're starting to see the fruits of this objective. You know, they belittled Zelenskyy last time. He came in, he wore a suit, he was joking around. The same reporter that dogged him last time for not wearing, hey, bro, why are you not wearing a suit to this? Why you look like a piece of shit next to the president? They were joking around with each other today. This is what's going on. And somehow Trump has really had a grasp of everything that he's saying, even from the side of the ceasefire. No, you know what? With the ceasefire, sometimes you're working at a disadvantage. So they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. But what are they going to do? Just rearm and remove and reposition while the ceasefire is going on? That way they gain a stronger position, or they can recover. You know, if you're a boxer and you have the guy in the ropes and he's dazed and confused and you're beating on him, do you really want to say, hey, let's stop this round early? Let's just stop this round a little bit early. That way, everything can just settle down. No, you want to you want to be able to go for the knockout shot. You know, negotiations. It's just there's so many levels to this, and it seems like that he really has an idea of what's going on. Zelenskyy was asked. Let me get to. You want to do Peter Doocy? Let's do Peter Doocy. One of the things I also love about these questions, and it's like just an unorganized, grabastic pieces of amphibious fucking unorganized shit is what these press conferences are. These journalists are just yelling things at these presidents. And listen to this.
Thank you, President Trump.
Are you disappointed there's no
The United States has already given hundreds of billions of dollars to this war effort in Ukraine.
Biden.
At best, it is a stalemate, and the killing continues. So, President Trump, how much more is the United States willing to give Ukraine? And President Zelenskyy, how much more do you want?
Well, I'll start off just by saying we're not giving anything now. We're selling weapons. This is something before, I guess the number is well over $300 billion. That was under Joe Biden, a corrupt politician.
Joe Biden, horrible guy, horrible politician. And Zelenskyy, what do you want, man? Hey, what do you need? What guarantees do you need, and what do you want out of us?
What security guarantees do you need from President Trump to be able to make a deal? Is it American troops, intelligence, equipment? What is it?
Everything. Really, it includes 2 parts. First, strong Ukrainian army. That's what I began to discuss with your colleagues. And it's a lot about weapon and then people and training missions and intelligence. And second, we will discuss with our partners. It depends on the big countries, on the United States, on a lot of our friends.
Mr. President.
So he wants everything, but You notice those two are much closer together. Why? Why was it? Now, the media was trying to say that, oh, Zelensky brought in everybody so he wouldn't be bullied by Trump. So that's why all the world leaders came. And then lo and behold, after that meeting, they all went in and they had another meeting where he was going around the table and they were all kissing Trump's ass. But these are things you did not see for 4 years. You had all of the world leaders meeting today about this situation. Almost all of the major players, from the UN to everybody, were involved in today's meeting. That is what a president's supposed to be doing. Not hanging out on the beach, eating ice cream, not being able to figure out if they shit themselves today, letting everybody else use the auto pen to run the run the country. No, this guy is actually working. And no matter what, Trump is going to break your balls.
Peace. God willing, we get peace. Are you open to holding an election in your country?
Yes, of course. We are open for election, yes. We have to do safety circumstances. And a little bit, we need to work in the parliament, because during the war you can't have elections, but we can do security. We need, we need a truth, yes, everywhere, in the battlefield, in the sky, in the sea, yeah, to make it possible for people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake
You like this idea?
Yeah.
No.
Speaking of news, I got.
So you got to love Trump right there, breaking his balls. Wait a second. You can't have elections during times of war. You can have nightclubs and all the other things, but you can't possibly have an election. I find that to be absolute horseshit. But speaking of elections, Trump in the middle of this entire thing was asked about mail-in ballots. Now, if you don't know, Trump came out and put out a big statement on this, right? I'll read you a little bit. He says, I am going to lead the movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines, which cost 10 times more than accurate, sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt. Now, let's just stop that right there, because Newsmax has just settled a lawsuit. So Fox, if you remember, settled a lawsuit for $700 and something million to Smartmatic, and now Newsmax settles a lawsuit. So conservative news network Newsmax agrees to pay $67 million in defamation case over bogus 2020 election claims. Now these guys made some claims, and they're paying out some really, really big settlements. It does lead me to believe now that maybe Smartmatic wasn't the problem. I don't know. To me, it's either they weren't the problem or they're settling because they are all part of the bigger cabal that wants this, that wants to paint this a certain way. Like we actually are having free and fair elections, which I don't believe we are having free or fair elections. But to continue with Trump, he says, we are now the country in the world. We're the only country in the world to use mail-in voting. All the others gave it up because of massive fraud encountered. We would begin this effort. I love when he goes in all caps, so you can just see him like just fucking power typing, right? Which would be surely opposed by the Democrats, because they cheated levels never seen before by signing an executive order to help bring honesty. Now, this is where it gets said. It says elections. Wait, is that where? Sorry. By signing the executive order, we bring honesty in 2026 to the midterm elections. Remember, the states are here it is. This is what I want to say. Remember, the states are merely an agent, in quotes, for the federal government in counting and tabulating votes. I don't think he's correct with that. I think the federal government has guidelines, and the states carry it out. I don't believe that they're just the agents and they have to obey by all the federal stuff. This is the stuff that drives me a little bit crazy with Trump. And when they call him a tyrant or, a king or whatever it is, that's kind of king speech. Because when the federal government gets into running everything, I think you're running into a slippery slope. Now, can you have the army run national elections? I don't know. Do you really want to have that go on? I think 100% you should not have mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots 100% lead to fraud. And it doesn't. This is the thing that everybody is going crazy that doesn't understand. It's not about widespread fraud. It's about localized fraud. We are watching these situations where we have town councils, we have state councils, and we have our actual Congress, where all of these people, some are moved by 1,000 votes. There's a 300, 400 vote win here, 200-300 votes here. One person gets 1,000 votes and they're elected. How hard is it to cheat? And it's clear as day. This is from a city. I believe it's a county congressman who, Hamtramck. Check this story out.
There's a black pickup truck pulling up outside Hamtramck City Hall in the middle of the night, just days before the primary election. All of a sudden, the lights turn on inside the truck. That's when you spot 3 men inside, including what appears to be Council Member Abu Musa in the back seat, the same council member who is seeking re-election right now. The video then shows the driver getting out and stuffing absentee ballots into the drop box. The only problem? They don't all fit. He then starts pushing them in before reaching for 2 more stacks. The whole time looking around to see if anyone is watching. After about 2 minutes, the group drives away. And get this, Local 4 found that it happened again, only 4 days later. This time, a different car pulling up with what appears to be the same council member in the passenger seat. He then starts handing bundles of ballots to the driver, dropping off 3 large stacks. City election results show Musa received 1,129 votes during the primary, making
1,129 votes during the primary. Now, the question I have to ask everybody is, how many more ballot boxes like this is this happening to? Where people are just stuffing ballots full. And how do they not know that, hey, we just got 65 ballots and they're all from the same person? Or they're all 100% of them or for one guy? Nobody's on top of this. I think that type of stuff is happening all over the place. And I don't know why we don't have these federal election days as holidays. We take off every other day for some type of holiday. Take off, go vote, and then, hey, if you want to go back to work afterwards, great. But make sure you have your day where you could go and you could vote. And you know me, I always think that these people shouldn't be voting if they're not up to speed on all of this stuff. But on for Trump, watermark paper ballots. I did not mind the way we voted in New Jersey this year. It basically printed it out, so there was a paper ballot, but it was all through the computer. I hope that if they ever went back, you could see how I voted on a sheet of paper. I would love to have a printout of that, but that wasn't obviously part of it. Let's get to shit that made me laugh.
Shit that made me laugh.
All right. We get an Illinois man steals a bicycle.
Illinois man who stole a motorcycle. That was his first mistake. His second mistake, not checking the gas gauge because he ran out of gas as police were chasing him. Once the engine died, you can see he actually tried to pedal away using his feet. Dabba-dabba-doo. Didn't work so well. In addition to the
the fact that he's running for dear life on that thing, that he really thought, I mean, the fact that was his instinct to do, not drop the bike and bolt. No, I can't. I stole this fucking thing. This is my bike. I'm going to try to run and jump start it really quick and hope the guy doesn't find me. Oh, man. Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings unveil 2 male cheerleaders. Now, full disclosure, I was a male cheerleader back in the day. Okay. Now, I did not shake my ass like that, and I definitely did not do the female moves. I was a stunt guy where I picked the girls up. I basically picked them up and put them down. You know, that's basically what I did. I did some stunts. It was fun. But just to give you a glimpse of what the fans from Minnesota Vikings saw the talent was, I mean, honestly, I am impressed. Now, people are going to make a big deal of it. I don't give a shit. If people in Minnesota want that, I don't care. If the Dallas Cowboys start turning into dudes, then we're going to have a serious problem. The Eagles cheerleaders, you can't have dudes on the Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys, but any other cheerleading team in the world, I really don't give a shit. What you have to realize anymore is, man, that dude's probably 20 years old. He grew up cheerleading. I mean, that was his sport. And, as much as anybody wants to hate on it, I'm going to give it. Made me laugh because I think it's fucking hysterical. But I definitely give the guy credit because, I mean, he was rocking it out. He was shaking his ass. He was doing those moves. He did it on time. So I say congratulations to him. We also have Trump. What was it? Do we want to do Trump? Here we go. This is Trump on AOC.
AOC, look, I think she's very nice, but she's very low IQ, and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right.
Aced the test. I got them all right. Everyone, I got all right. I took matter of fact, they made me take my SAT test again. 1,600 I got on the 16. I got everything right. Math and spelling and English. I got every question, even taking my SATs. Canada. This is very interesting with Canada. Check this out. It's in a shit format. I apologize for it. But Canada made me laugh because they're fining people for going outside.
4 p.m. today, we're telling Nova Scotians, stay out of the woods. Hiking, camping, fishing, and the use of vehicles in the woods are not permitted. Trail systems through woods are off limits. Camping is allowed, but only in official campgrounds. The fine for violating any of these bans is the same as the fine for the ban on burning. $25,000. And if you're a smoker, for God's sakes, be mindful of where you're butting your butt out. If you don't, and you cause a fire, we will hold you accountable. In fact,
so I guess they're having fires in Canada. They're having some fires in Canada. So guess what? Nobody could go outside. They are going to fine you for going outside in Canada. For silly me. Canadians, I can't believe you guys are tolerating this shit. Because how is that legal in Canada where you can't go camping? And if we catch you camping, it's a $25,000 fine. Man, welcome to the insane states of Canada, huh? I don't know, man. Let's go through some. What do we have? Let's check the chats here. Yankee 68 says another Bud Light moment. Yes, it'll be wild to see these two take a test. It would be wild to see those two take a test. South Carolina does it the best with voting. I like South Carolina. I like Florida. I've never voted in Florida, but it seems like somehow Florida can count their entire state that night. And even New Jersey, it's like 3 weeks later, and we're still counting ballots for some, idiotic reason. I don't know if I've said this, but I want to point this out again. Kellogg signs historic agreement to eliminate toxic artificial dyes from U.S. cereals by 2027. Every time I see one of these, I'm going to just ask, why were they in there in the first place if you knew it was toxic? Why did it take RFK? Why did it take the Maha Moms? Why did it take all this stuff to get this garbage out of our cereal when you already have it made a different way for different people around the world? And the fact that these companies are just saying, oh, no, we're good. And no one's making amends for toxifying Americans and making us the fattest, most unhealthy population on the planet. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous. This is what I was looking for earlier. The House Oversight Chair says the Justice Department to start providing Epstein-related documents on Friday. Man, it's like they just can't get out of their own way with this. Release everything or just say we have nothing else. you have to stop with this drip shit with Epstein. This didn't go away for 3.5 weeks. Epstein every day was all on the liberal news pages, all day, every day. You guys saw it. And what did I tell you about this Epstein shit a year ago? For everybody that was listening to me, I told you this Epstein shit, when they started saying we're going to release the files, I said it was going to blow up in their face. And now for some reason, these people just can't get it. They can't get their heads out of their ass even further by letting this story die. Why are we keeping it going? You had so many years to get this right. And now every day that I hear another fucking Epstein story. And until I hear 15 people arrested because they were caught on files banging kids in Epstein's Island, this is the only news I want to hear about Epstein. Again, you Republicans have to be stupid for doing this. Matthew Perry, apparently the ketamine queen, accused of selling fatal dose to Matthew Perry, agrees to a plea deal. That's another thing. Like, when we talk about parents, being held accountable for their kids' actions, drug dealers are held accountable for the actions of the drug user. I get it. There's poisoning and there's ODing. We spoke about that with Ryan last week, and he did a great job of explaining the difference. There's definitely poisoning. There's definitely ODing. But if somebody ODs on a product that you give them, is that your fault? What if a kid buys a case of Monster Energy drinks, drinks them all, like chugs them all for a TikTok trend, and dies of a heart attack 3 minutes later? Is the gas station that sold him those drinks, is he going to be held responsible for that? No. To me, you hold the parents responsible for it. Just kidding. All right, here's a couple stories. China says it's prepared for great efforts towards peaceful reunification with Taiwan. That's interesting. We all knew we were saying that they were going to go to war, remember, with Taiwan, and now with all these trade deals, now they want peaceful unification, which is very interesting. And breaking, Washington, D.C. is now under serious investigation for providing fake crime numbers per POTUS. It's a funny story with these. Every one of these mayors and governors in these states, like Chicago, what were they? Obviously D.C., but apparently they redefined what a violent crime is, so it stopped being reported as high, but they're actually having a lot more of it. We will see what's going to come of that. The Redskins, family of the tribal chief who inspired Redskins logo, calls for the team to bring back the proud image of his ancestors. Yeah, hey, guess what? White liberal chicks got that changed. In case you didn't know, the tribes, there was 4% of the tribes when they were overall poll after poll after poll, 4% came out against it. The rest were in favor of keeping it. The Redskins, nobody wanted it changed. It was absolutely ridiculous. Then we have this story. Watch, a fucking horrible story. Illegal driver kills 3. I'm gonna stop it there because that movie that goes on, man. It's an absolute horrible scene. But that guy apparently was involved in another accident, right? And that accident, where was this? Is this it right here? Oh yeah, there you go. This is his name. Let me try to say this guy's name. Illegal alien Harjinder Singh, the Florida Turnpike driver, is the same guy who collapsed 88-year-old Arkansas Bridge in 2019. Now, was it? Now, if you remember the story, because I do remember this story, this was the bridge. You remember this in 2019? This guy drove over a bridge that was only rated, if you look at it here, for 6 tons. The max weight was 6 tons, and he was clearly overloaded, destroys the shit out of the bridge. And that's another look for it. But somehow he's still driving in America. This is 2019. I think this is under Trump's rule. If it was 2019, it was definitely under Trump's rule. How's this guy here still driving illegally? How does he get a CDL? How does he get a commercial driver's license? He's not here legally? I don't know. He's either here legally, here away that's legal, or we should have got rid of him when he did this. He destroyed a bridge. You clearly, sir, cannot drive. So you've killed 3 people and a bridge. And what's going to happen to this guy? We just going to deport him? I don't know. I think we have to fucking I don't know, that type of dude. And the fact that they were saying he was like remorseful. This is the type of people you're dealing with. When you let these type of people that don't value human life in any way, shape, or form get in, don't be surprised when they have no remorse and they take it or destroy your bridge or whatever. We allowed it to happen by letting pieces of shit like that in this country and drive trucks. Driving trucks is a good job. People make a very good livings off of that, or decent livings that can sustain a family. And you're telling me we're hurting that bad for truck drivers? We need people like him who can't even obey laws. It's absolutely ridiculous. Then we have, what is this? Trump pauses the meeting. Trump paused the meeting in the White House summit when Putin calls, and then all of a sudden this came out that Putin rejects the NATO-style security guarantee for Ukraine suggested by Trump. I don't know if that's true because it came out that Trump said that they accepted it. So who really knows what's going on? And a woman arrested. U.S. Attorney Judge Janine announced that a woman has been arrested while traveling from New York to Washington, D.C. to assassinate President Trump. That was just absolutely unbelievable. And then we have our final story of the night. Check this out. A plane crashes on a golf course. So this thing crashed, right? Now I want you to watch the bottom of the screen. See where it says plane crash? Watch this guy. He's coming to the rescue. This guy is running. Get him. I'm going to help. I'm here to help. Oh, shit. He falls on his ass and gets back up. He's not running as fast, though. He clearly sees her. He was clearly concerned. Everybody's out there. She's going to be careful. She watched the last guy. She said, hey, man, I'm not falling like an asshole here. I'm going to take nice, easy, gingerly steps. And everybody ran after him. And I think they were okay. There was a guy sitting on the side of the green, and he watched this happen. Oh, shit. Fuck. Dude, and then that guy sitting with his fucking club, he watched the plane crash, and he looks back and says this.
How am I supposed to chip with that going on, Doug?
I saw 3 big naked bikers having sex. Am I supposed to chip with that going on? I love me some Happy Gilmore. Well, hey, listen, guys, I do hope you appreciate that. One of the last comments of the chat. Let's see. Canadians are going to be run by dictator-style government soon. You're not bullshitting, Jay Calda. Yankee 68 says exactly. They're already producing the same crap with none of the crap. Okay. Most Americans don't know what third world means. You're 100% right. And I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't know what third world meant until I went to the Dominican Republic for vacation. And you see third world. And if you see third world and you want any part of it here, then you have no idea what the hell you're doing. Jersey Abe says only illegal felons should get licenses. Yes. Oh, yeah. Was the fake Doc fly in that plane? Yeah, probably. But he knows everything about everything. So what are you going to do? But hey, guys, listen, I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you being with me. A lot of things happening right now. So I'm not 100% sure. I know Friday show. I'm not going to be here for Friday show. I'm going to be at my fantasy football draft. I'm going out Friday night. I'll be back Saturday. So Wednesday's show is still up in the air. It really depends on if I get enough work done tomorrow on my job. If I don't, I'm going to need to stay really late. So I may not be doing the show Wednesday and Friday of this week, but I will let you know, obviously. So follow me on all my Facebook, all my socials, Facebook, Mike Calderese and Center Cut Media. Everywhere else, I am Center Cut Media. Center Cut Media on YouTube, Center Cut Media on Facebook, Center Cut Media on X, Center Cut Media on Instagram, and Center Cut Media on Rumble. Check us out. Finger our like buttons. Subscribe to every single one of my channels. I'd really appreciate it. And I really thank you guys for being with us. Remember, you have to be your own Caltrop. I say this all the time. Locally, I'm trying to get that movement going, and nationally, we're trying to get this movement going. You have to be your own Caltrop. You have to go through the news or listen to this program, and we will go through it for you, or I'll go through it for you. But you have to go ahead and listen critically to everything. You read critically, listen critically, ask questions. And if you do those things and you try to find the holes and you try to find the lies and you see what they're doing to you on both sides, you're going to be your own Caltrop. And listen, I'm going to be here for you. I'm not going anywhere. I absolutely love this. We have not yet begun to defile ourselves. And trust me, defile myself, I will be doing. Thank you guys very much for joining us. This Caltrop is out. Later.